Well, I didn't follow it much before I came down here. And last year you saw just what you mentioned. I mean, you saw the favored sprinters, and there's more than one, so you have a couple of teams or a few teams that can control the race. My guess is we'd see that again. But the other thing too, that if you look out on some of these days, the flags stand up, and so that opens the race up completely for a breakaway or for a selection in the wind. So you got to pay attention to that. But I think we all know that there's these handful of guys that are riding well. They're focused on the early part of the season, not just January time, but also the spring classics. You know, we've got a guy in Stegman's that I think is one of those people that's clearly focused on the classics, so he's ready now. So yeah, you'll have some control, but again, with some hills, which there are more hills than I think people think. And then the wind, anything can happen. I think what they'll have is a good structure, and they'll also use, I think, to even perhaps even more than anybody else's technology. I think they'll really push the envelope when it comes to training technology and aerodynamics and other things with regards to materials that we'll all look at on certain days and go, whoa, I never saw that before. And I think that's good. So I expect they'll be good, very good. It's not the cycling that we saw in the days of Eddie Merckx and Bernard Hinault and even Indurain. I mean, the sport has become much more global. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's good that we have major teams from all continents on the planet. And I spoke a little yesterday about at an event last night about the possibility that in the future there be an Australian team, and you have an Asian team and a South American team, which we've had in the past, but have been absent for a while. I think that the globalization of cycling is a plus, in my opinion, and I think that if it's the depth of the teams that come from all over the world, or if it's simply, as we spoke about the other day, taking the World Championships to other places besides Belgium and Italy and France and Switzerland and Spain. I mean, I think it also needs to travel. So it's a good thing. It's as I said, it might be a little surprising to some and maybe even to me, but cycling also is in a position too now where if somebody can come in and sustain a $20 million budget, then that's good right now with the state of the sport, and I think it's a good indication and a good sign. Well, I think the most obvious thing is now I have 4 kids. Like I said, 10 years ago I had 1, but the fact that I am 38 with 4 children, and that's a significant difference in one's life. And I think anybody who's a parent will tell you that on many levels. It affects the way you sleep, it affects the way you eat, it affects your training schedule, your travel schedule. I have to shape my life now around their schedule. And for people who have multiple kids, I mean, you almost feel like, sometimes you feel like you're their chauffeur between birthday parties and sports events and school activities. And so to try to juggle professional cycling with that as well is a little hectic sometimes. But that's the biggest change in my life. And outside of the fact too, that in those 10 years, having won 7 tours, that too has changed my life. I mean, it's a little more difficult to walk into a bar or into a coffee shop or into a store. It wasn't that way 10 years ago. I could go anywhere, but that too has changed. So really, those are the 2 things. None of which I would ever complain about. I mean, it's been a good run, and the kids are healthy, the kids are happy. So on all fronts, 38 is a heck of a lot better than 28 for me. I think the answer is it's a hybrid of what we saw last year, but the racing side of things will be different. than in 2009, just because the team is different and the pressure and the emphasis on that team being a new team, an American team funded by an American company will be different than racing for no salary for a Kazakh-backed team. I mean, those are two completely different things. Well, I mean, it's easy to say yes, but at the same time, there's other things that work against me. Age and the fact that other guys are probably getting stronger, so I like to think so. But you know, that's why we race. We'll find out there.